Sure, my name's Dan Siskind. I'll talk about the Lego set with my name on it. So this is a blacksmith shop. Came out 2002. Basically, it's the first set Lego release that was fan created, specifically released by Lego to highlight one of their, I guess, fans' creations. So in 2000, I released my own version of this set, which is actually in this case here, as my own custom kit. Made 20 of them, and just with parts I could find on, buying sets at KB or Toys R Us or Target. Started making my own sets. So this case here has some of my original designs. You can see some of the bricks in there are pretty old.
Yeah.
So everything in that case except for the little farm actually got released as a Brickmania set. I released these, sold them on eBay back in 2000, 2001. And I could only make a limited amount because there just wasn't enough parts out there in the world to keep going with them. When I announced I was going to discontinue my blacksmith shop, which was my first ever custom kit, I got a phone call the next day from Lego offering, it was a vice president of Lego, who I didn't know who he was, but apparently he bought one of my sets and he offered to license it. And as the first ever fan created Lego set.
So they weren't trying to. I can't remember during that time period what their castle medieval theme would have been, but they didn't want to bring it in with that. This was going to be a separate thing.
Yeah. They came up with this concept. Lego had never even talked to the public. They're sort of breaking out of their shell. So they had hired a vice president, a guy named Brad Justice, whose basically job was to bring Lego into the 20th century or 21st century. And break down this sort of barrier that they had created between them and their consumer public. So one of their things, building a website, that was their first thing. And they brought GMLTC, which is the train club I belong to. They brought the GMLTC out to Legoland, invited us, paid for us to fly out there, put our stuff on. They'd never done that before.
Wow.
Never even talked or even acknowledged the fact that there were adult fans. So in 2002 or 2001, they contacted me offering to put out my set as the first my own creation. They did a whole sort of a theme that they were going to do, that they would release fan created sets. It's not like what they do now with the Lego Ideas. There was no contest or anything. They just came to me out of the blue and then approached me to do it. So this is the first one. It's a one of a kind. They pardon me. They continued the pardon me. They continued the program after, but I don't think any other sets actually have the creator's name on the box, which I feel bad for because I'm the only one. So
I know some of them were. I don't know if you're familiar with Chris Giddens and some other space builders that did the space skulls. I think was that part of a similar program.
I'm not sure how all that came about. I believe it is. So they did my own creation. They did this, and then they put out I think James Mathis did some train cars and stuff.
Okay.
They put out some more sets, but for whatever reason, maybe they didn't want the liability of having somebody's else's name on the box, or even just give somebody that kind of exposure, I guess. I don't know what the reason is, but they stopped doing it, and they sort of, instead of creating, highlighting the fan-created set, they just started highlighting the creation and didn't really give so much backstory in their promotion as they did originally. So I don't know, something changed within the company from the time that the concept of the idea happened to the time it was executed. So in the years that it took them to put this thing out, they changed the program. Not sure what happened internally, but it's now they've sort of evolved into a system where that fans can vote on things.
The whole Lego Ideas.
The Kuso and Lego Ideas. So this is basically the spawn of that. 15 years ago, that's what this was. So.
Now, when obviously you designed the set itself, did you have any input on the box art or anything like that, or did you anything like that, or did they just take the set and kind of design all that themselves?
Well, I had made my own box. I was making these myself. So mine had a much more primitive box, and it was just a full color printout glued onto the box cover, and Lego had done all this other marketing. Basically, by the time that when I announced I was discontinuing this, within 24 hours they had already had a prototype built. So I don't know, maybe they had it built already before I announced I was going to discontinue it. But they had the prototype model, showed me pictures of it, said, hey, we want to put this out. We already have our model, in fact, made. And it was funny because there's parts in mine that are in my original that aren't in the Lego set because we don't make that part anymore.
Oh, they had to work with what they had at the time.
Yeah, exactly. And they changed some colors. They changed some of the changes they made were for the better. The pieces that I couldn't get, so they put some newer pieces in, and then some they couldn't do because they couldn't get them anymore. Which is funny that the company can't get the part anymore. They changed the colors of the windows. They made some minor cosmetic changes, and there was a little give and take with the design team. But eventually they settled on this design, and I was happy with it.
Okay, it's really cool. And then if you want to flip the box around, just kind of show. Sure. So this is what the back of the box looks like.
Yeah, the original when Lego, it was like the Lego what is now Lego Retail. When they started like the shop at home, they started doing some of these reissues. They reissued some old classic Lego sets, started like listening to what the fans were asking for, and they were releasing them with black and white boxes. So they looked very similar. Their cloud theme, the box looked very similar, but black and white. And they showed me a picture of the box mock-up. It was black and white. I was like, oh, that's cool. And then it came out. It was full color. So it was full color, and it was $40. It was a cheap set. So this for 600 pieces for $40.
Yeah, that's a great deal.
It was a good deal. So I bought a lot of them just to part out. So I got a lot of blacksmiths, and I wanted more blue roof pieces. So I wasn't thinking they were going to be worth hundreds of dollars someday.
Buying your own kit to get the pieces back.
Lego didn't sell castles at the time. I was making castle sets because Lego was not. Okay. They were in one of their periods. I think at the time they were doing the ninja, the samurai ninja thing, and even that wasn't even really well supported. So I was like, we need to do. I want to do the sets that I would like to buy, and obviously enough other people wanted to buy it too. So
now, was this a limited release on Lego's end? This is like a set amount of kits that
I don't know how many they made, but it was only available through like the shop at home and then certain retail stores. They didn't have it at their big flagship stores like the Mall of America store. I don't know why, but it ended up in some of the outlet stores. And so I don't know where they were marketing back then, but it was basically if you bought it, you had to buy them through Shop at Home was the only place to get them. So.
Okay. Well, that's a fascinating story there. Kind of one of the first sets designed by a fan, so that's really interesting. Yeah. So thanks for telling us about that.